Welcome to the Let's Get Vulnerable podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Morgan. This is part 2 of our Hard Truth series. I am bringing you the hard truths about dating in this episode. I know that so many of you need to hear this, and I feel like, especially this time of year, there can just be this exhaustion. You've tried all year. Maybe at the beginning of this year, you had convinced yourself that 2025 was going to be the year that you met your person, and here you are single. And I think it's really important before we get into this episode, I need you to understand this, that trying harder in your dating life is not the same as trying harder at your career, trying harder in the gym, right? Where there's things in life where, yes, you put more effort in and then you can get better results. Dating is just not one of those areas. This is not the area to say, okay, I'm just going to keep going up or keep dusting myself off and trying harder. Dating is actually not one of those areas where you want to use that philosophy. So we're going to get into the hard truths about dating. And if you have struggled this year, you are not alone. I have heard from so many people that 2025 has felt like a dumpster fire, and that included people's relationships. So I just have so much empathy for you if this has been a hard year. And I want you to know things can get better. So let's get into these hard truths about dating. Dating is one of the most dysregulating things that we can do when we have an insecure attachment style. Yet, so many people are pretending that dating is all about luck, meeting that right person on the apps, that dating is all about timing and being ready. And oh, I'm just not ready for a serious relationship. There's all kinds of myths out there, right? So let's just break it down. I'm going to give you the hard truths here. We're starting out with truth number 1. Here it is. Chemistry without secure attachment is not love. There's so many of you that you have labeled chemistry as the most important thing, and that you just want to have that banter. You just want there to be that connection. You want to feel the butterflies, the lightning bolts, whatever. And the reality is that when we haven't healed and become securely attached, if we're operating with an insecure attachment style, chemistry is actually just a sign that your nervous system is getting activated. It's actually just a sign that, okay, you're falling into old familiar patterns, right? So for a lot of people, intense chemistry, when you're obsessed with the person, you feel like you've just taken the most magical drug of your life. That is actually the nervous system recognizing the chaos that it's already familiar with. So the real truth is secure attachment is a slow burn. Secure attachment is curious. Secure attachment is grounded and it's intentional. And the emotional investment comes with having gathered the data that the relationship is safe to invest into. It's not all consuming. Secure attachment's not obsessive, not anxious, right? If somebody is feeling electric, right? The relationship's feeling, oh my gosh, amazing, all these things, but maybe it's also feeling inconsistent, unpredictable, unclear, right? All of those things are not actually the chemistry that you want, right? Secure chemistry is, hey, I'm interested in this person. I'm curious about them. I like how I feel around them. Secure chemistry is, ooh, I become my most authentic self in their presence. And I'm able to connect to myself more deeply, and I'm able to make space to connect with them. And we have this beautiful connection that doesn't feel rushed, that doesn't feel pressured, that has boundaries, that feels like there's mutual respect and mutual understanding, right? This is secure connection. So this is a hard truth. There's a lot of you that have not experienced secure chemistry yet. Hard truth number 2, you guys know this. Stop watering plastic plants. Potential is not a relationship. all right? You have to start realizing that when you're dating someone, you are dating them for the way that they are in that moment, for who they're showing up as currently. You're not dating them with, ooh, they could be so great if insert XYZ, right? The potential of who somebody could be, that can keep you stuck in relationships that you don't belong in. And when we cling to that potential, what are we avoiding? We're actually avoiding pain. That's what we convince ourselves, right? You're doing this subconsciously. You think that if you cling to someone's potential, that, ooh, maybe it could change. And you're also avoiding the grieving the fact that, ooh, this person isn't ready for a relationship. This person doesn't have true emotional capacity. This person is not emotionally available. And there's so much pain associated with that, that the brain would rather hold on to the potential, right? The possibility that this person could heal and grow and become your person. So you have to realize that by falling in love with people's potential, you're just avoiding the pain of accepting them for who they really are right now. And let's make this commitment in 2026. We're not dating potential, all right? Hard truth number 3. Here's the deal. Here's the deal. Most people are not confused. They're telling you they're confused, but most people are not confused. They're avoiding discomfort. So when you are dating someone and they say, I just don't know what I want. I don't think I'm ready for a serious relationship. I'm just really overwhelmed at work. I went through this divorce 6 months ago and I'm still figuring it out. Can we just see where this goes without putting any pressure on it? What they're often communicating is, I don't want to have uncomfortable conversations. I'm not ready to open up and tell you what's really going on for me. Right? Remember this, that clarity is not cruel. When you are open, honest, direct, straightforward, both people win. And when you show up that way, you also model it for the person that you're dating. And I think it's really important to say, hey, we're getting to know each other and we are working on having this healthy connection. And, because we're doing this intentionally, honesty is a priority. And I'm going to be honest with you. I'm looking for a serious relationship. I'm ready to build my life with someone and I'm feeling so ready for that. And, I appreciate that honesty back from you as well, right? I think we have to set the tone that honesty is the value, right? That's the top priority, not staying comfortable. So that's the hard truth that you need to hear when it comes to the way people are communicating about where they're at, that there's a lot of people that say that they're not sure, but in fact, they really do know what's going on. They're just avoiding difficult conversations. So it's up to you, right? How much you're willing to put up with somebody not being sure. And sometimes people do need time to process, right? They need time to go internal and sit with themselves and figure out what's going on. But lack of clarity is not sustainable in a long-term healthy relationship. And remember, secure is open, honest, direct. Open, honest, direct is assertive. So secure is assertive, and assertive is kind. Being honest is kind. It is the kindest thing you can do in the long run. All right, moving on. Hard truth number 4. You cannot date your way into secure attachment. So no amount of dating, and we talked about this in the last episode, there's no amount of dating that will actually heal you if you keep ignoring red flags, overriding your intuition, chasing those unavailable partners, abandoning your boundaries, right? No amount of dating is going to heal you or bring you that healthy relationship that you want. Dating can actually amplify your insecure attachment. It can actually strengthen unhealthy neural pathways. In a sense, this is why I always, let people know it makes a ton of sense to pull away from dating, to take a break, to sit yourself on the bench because you're not playing the game right. I love a good sports metaphor. You gotta take a break, you know? And the reality is that that break is going to be so helpful to you because when you are dating and you're showing up with insecure attachment, you're simply reinforcing unhealthy relationship models. You're reinforcing unhealthy beliefs about yourself. You're getting more relational trauma that now you have to heal and let go and, make sure that you are erasing it from your relationship template. So take a break. And you can't date your way into secure attachment. However, if you listen to my last episode, I did say, of course, there's healing that happens in relationships, that there are corrective emotional experiences that create new neural pathways for you. And that kind of healing can only happen when you're in a relationship. But you don't want to be dating when you are showing up with unhealed relational trauma and an insecure attachment style. It's going to reinforce the wrong things. Okay, moving on. Truth number 5. If you are experiencing dating and relationship anxiety all of the time, something is wrong. I just want to validate you. I think a lot of you're like, oh, I'm just anxious, or I just have relationship anxiety. You don't have to live that way. Okay. Something is wrong. If you were dealing with something medical and it was like, every time I get out of the chair, I feel like I'm going to faint and I'm lightheaded, and you wouldn't just say, oh, that's just how I am. I'm just lightheaded. I mean, I hope you wouldn't, right? Like it's the same thing when you are constantly experiencing relationship anxiety. You can't just say, I'm just an anxious person, right? You don't deserve that. Like you can, but you don't deserve that. You deserve to treat it. You deserve to treat it, right? Maybe you're telling yourself, I'm just insecure, or I'm just an anxious person. This will never change. But the deal is that if you're experiencing chronic relationship anxiety, this is your nervous system saying relationships don't feel safe. And if relationships don't feel safe, it's going to impact every area of your life. But take this from someone who's been there. If relationships don't feel safe, it will impact every area of your life. And you deserve to be able to date, to be able to form relationships so that you are showing up and enjoying it. You deserve to enjoy it, right? To get to sit in the magic and the joy and what's the word? I'm almost like it's like whimsical unfolding of it all, right? To actually be able to surrender and trust the process and show up and enjoy building a relationship. I don't want you to think that the overanalyzing, the difficulty sleeping, the constantly reading between the lines of every text message that's sent, feeling like you have to brace yourself for disappointment, feeling like you're not good enough, convincing yourself, ooh, I need to go work out for 3 hours a day so that I can be attractive, so that this person doesn't leave me. Whatever craziness, right, your brain has convinced you, that doesn't have to be your default. In fact, you should be able to, once again, show up with calm, enjoyment, a regulated nervous system, and able to take up space and an overall sense of peace. Relationship anxiety doesn't have to just be your personality or a norm for you. Hard truth number 6. This is so important. You ready? You actually don't need closure from your ex. You think you do. You think it's about your ex, and I understand that. If you guys could see my old email inbox of the emails that I would send someone when we broke up, and it would just be like, oh my God, like a series of like anywhere from 7 to 15 emails that were never getting responses, but these long messages about everything that I regretted. And oh my God, it was, I look back at those, I'm like, this is this is like a diary entry that I'm sending this and not getting any response. I believed that if I could just get a response, if I could just get some closure, then I would start to feel better. But here's the truth. What I was going through emotionally, the pain that felt like death, I don't know how else to describe it. People with disorganized attachment or insecure attachment, when you go through a breakup, you feel like you're dying because physiologically, relationships, being in one can feel like survival. So when you have that intense feeling, and yeah, it feels like you're dying, and it feels like, oh, I'm the lowest of the low and I'm just not worth anything, and it's this big emotional feeling. Of course you're thinking, if I could just get some kind of closure with my ex, it'll take this away, this feeling will go away. But the reality is when it's a big emotion like that, it's actually not about your ex. It's not about your ex. It's about your unfinished business from past relational trauma. It's about unhealthy relationship models. It's about the unconscious desire that if I could just get a different outcome this time, that it would mean that everything from my past is healed. You guys have heard me talk about repetition compulsion. Okay. You're repeating past relationship dynamics, hoping you'll get a different result this time. So you actually don't need closure. You need to heal deeply enough. You need to heal your repetition compulsion, because hearing from an ex is not going to be the thing that magically makes you feel better. A conversation with somebody is not going to change an outcome. Your nervous system is still going to be activated, and most times even more activated after what you think is the closure conversation. Your nervous system's going to go even more dysregulated after that kind of conversation. So you don't need closure. You need to heal repetition compulsion at a deeper level. And by all means, if there's something that you absolutely need to say, if you have unfinished business and you go, hey, I've processed through this myself, I've taken it through the filter of, would this be helpful for this other person to hear? And would this help me feel like, hey, I got out this thing that was repressed and I got it to the person that it was meant for? Sure, maybe there is something that needs to be said, but 9 times out of 10, it's not about that conversation with the ex, okay? It's actually about repetition compulsion, healing these patterns on a much deeper level than you're even aware of. And this is good because hopefully it helps you take your ex off a pedestal. You got to take them off the pedestal, right? Like, let's get you into reality. It's not about that person. It's about you healing deeply. All right, hard truth number 7. Ghosting is just information. That's all it is. It's not rejection. It's not a measure of your worthiness. It's just information. Okay. And why does it hurt? It hurts because we have so many questions, right? We want to know, what did I do wrong? Or what's going on? We're left with so much ambiguity. But the truth is that someone who disappears when there is discomfort, maybe they're avoiding that hard conversation with you, or maybe they're struggling with their own avoidant attachment strategies coming up of, this is getting too close, this is getting too connected, I have to pull away, whatever the case, right? You don't want to be with someone who disappears when there is discomfort. This has been me in the past. I have so much compassion. If you're somebody where you're like, yep, I've ghosted people, I get it. Our attachment systems have us wired that way. Is it okay? No, I'm not here to condone ghosting or say that it's okay. I will say this though, it tells us so much. It's such a valuable piece of data, because if someone's ghosting you when, oh my gosh, they got overwhelmed at work and they don't know if they're ready for a relationship and they're worried that they're going to mess it up and they're not a good partner. And my gosh, they know they were supposed to call you to plan that date for Saturday, but now it's Friday and they haven't reached out, and then they just ignored any communication that you have, if someone is showing up that way, I'm going to be real dramatic here. How are they going to show up when one of your parents gets diagnosed with cancer? How are they going to show up when you break your leg and you need to go to the hospital? How are they going to show up when you're struggling with postpartum depression? I mean, I'm giving you all these health things, but these are real life things. And I want to tell you that if somebody can't show up secure in the dating phase, in the fun phase, in the getting to know each other, let's have fun, and they can't show up secure then, we do not want them in our lives long term. That is not what we want. Okay. You want the co-pilot that they've got you. Life's going to throw stuff at you. Life is going to do what life does. And you want that person that's going to show up and not be silent, not shut down. All right, moving on. Hard truth number 8. You cannot secure attach your way out of somebody else's avoidant attachment. How do I explain this? So I wrote that down, like, make it make sense. Basically, if someone is not showing up and they don't have capacity, maybe they are traveling the world, or they have a super demanding job, or they just never learn how to tune into themselves, how to show up with emotional intelligence, how to navigate conflict. They're lacking the skills. And then, you bring up, well, have you ever thought about therapy? And they're like, I don't have time for that, right? Lack of capacity can look a lot of different ways, right? But you doing more emotional labor, you sending them articles, sending them books, sending them podcasts, you oversimplifying your needs and trying to have less needs than you actually do, right? Self-abandoning. So over-functioning, doing all the emotional labor, et cetera, et cetera. That is not going to change their capacity, no matter how much you would want it to, right? And that can be some of, like I said, that repetition compulsion. It's sneaky. It can be getting activated. But the reality is that you can be secure, clear, kind, emotionally regulated, emotionally available, so ready to build a healthy, loving relationship. And that won't make someone ready. Secure behavior from one partner will not override someone else's lack of capacity. Building a relationship is not a charity project. It's not a charity project. You want a partner that's going to show up with you and do the work with you. Now, please don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that people with insecure attachment shouldn't date. I think sometimes people think that that is what I'm saying. By all means, no. You have to have both people bought into becoming secure as individuals, becoming secure as a couple. And they have to be bought into both. It can't just be, oh, I work on my secure relationship with my partner. No, you have to also recognize, how am I working on this for me as an individual? That's actually the most important part, right? And then both of you come together and work on it as a couple. But you being the most informed, securely attached, you listen to this podcast, and then you taking that to someone who doesn't have capacity for a relationship, you will not magically fix that person. Okay. You just won't. All right. Hard truth number 9. I love this one. This is something I have been through. The right relationship will require you to stop performing. Hope you can take an exhale, right? So many of you think you have to be this perfect person in order to be chosen and to not be abandoned. And some of you actually think secure attachment is about perfection when it's not at all. The right secure relationship will require you to start showing up authentically. This means that you can quit pretending that you're quote unquote chill. You stop shrinking your needs, tolerating breadcrumbs, staying silent to keep the peace, right? Secure love requires your honesty. It requires your authenticity, not perfection. Perfection does not exist, right? I think it's so beautiful now being with my partner for about, oh my gosh, is it 5 years? I don't do the math. We are coming up on 5 years in 2026. And we have grown every single year as a couple. And there's conversations that we have now that are even layers deeper than I would have ever thought that I would have with another human being. And it's not like we're each other's therapists necessarily, because transparently, I have a coach that I have gone to forever. And he has his own therapist. Like, we practice what we preach. We work on ourselves as individuals, right? But it's not like we're that role for each other, but there is just this total authenticity. And it's like the little moments that there's just so much honesty between the two of us, and it's wonderful. It's the best thing I've ever done. It's honestly the best thing I've ever done, just to have that relationship that gets closer, that gets better, that gets more passionate, more connected. And when you really think about it, the opportunity to build a secure relationship with someone, when you maintain that curiosity, you are you are constantly learning about someone because they're evolving and things are changing and they're growing and things are shifting for them. It's just this invitation of total radical honesty. And I know that we both do that for each other. We both do that for each other. It's a place of non-judgment, it's a place of honesty. And I think, I guess a little insight into our connection, my husband has had to learn how to take up space, to express his needs, to stop putting everybody else before him. And he's always very grateful that our relationship has given him that space to start putting himself first. And I have to constantly say, I want you to put yourself first. It's those corrective emotional experiences of him realizing his needs do matter. I do want him to be enjoying himself and taking time to go do things for himself. And I am okay. I'm not going to hold it against him later if he goes out to fish all day Saturday. It's like the healing that comes from open, honest, direct communication and secure attachment. It's authenticity, it's honesty that is prioritized. And once again, I think for a lot of us, that feels scary. That's not comfortable, right? Honesty requires you to be honest with yourself first. How can I be honest with a partner if I haven't tuned inwards? And that's why I think doing your individual work is so helpful. I think it should be required. Yes, couples therapy. I love couples therapy too, but individual growth, because how else are you going to show up for your partner when you haven't even made sense of your own stuff, right? You haven't even worked on becoming secure yourself or dealing with your own trauma, figuring out what your own needs are. How on earth can you communicate to another person when you haven't done it for you? So that's probably one of my favorite truths on this list, that the right relationship will require you to be honest. It will require you to stop performing and to just show up and be your authentic self. Okay. And isn't that beautiful? That's actually how I feel about business too. It's interesting. I think that growing this business over the years and the podcast, the most beautiful requirement has been authenticity and personal growth. I'm grateful. I'm grateful to be in relationships that require me to be authentic, secure relationships, and to also be in this personal brand business space that requires me to be authentic. It's the best kind of growth. All right, y'all. I just want to remind you, you've heard me talk about this, the Empowered, Secure, Loved group coaching program is closing. The applications are ending at the end of this month. Do not wait. There are very limited spots. This is your last chance. I just want to encourage you, go to the link in the show notes and apply. You owe it to yourself to get the information, right? You really do. If you've been on the fence, this is it. Go apply. I love this program. I've given it my, oh my gosh, my blood, sweat, tears, energy, and it's given me so much. You know, when I think about what it's given me, the ability to get emotional, right? Just thinking about this, just the ability to witness the healing and transformation that the women have gone through, their vulnerability, showing up and sharing what they're going through, and trusting myself and my coaches, and also the framework, the coursework, the amount of trust that they put into the journey, and then watching it unfold just like it does every time for people, where they start to become that secure version of themselves. Just the privilege that I have of being able to watch that transformation again and again. It is one of the greatest gifts of my life, and I'm forever grateful that I didn't just go the traditional clinical psychologist route. I could have had an amazing private practice in La Jolla, California, and I could have just gone that whole traditional route, but I knew that people needed something different, that people needed something that would really help them deeply transform on an identity level. And I was tired of just helping people get awareness, right? I want you to, yes, have the awareness, but also do what is required to become a secure person, to become securely attached. I'm just going to be feeling nostalgic all month with this, as I know that these doors are closing. And most importantly, I just want you to know that if you've been on the fence, if you're like, oh, I don't know if it can work for me, or maybe you're in this place where you don't feel like you're worthy of investing in yourself. That was me for so long, of like, oh, how could I invest in me? And is this really going to be worth it? And I just want you to know you're so worthy of investing in you. You are your best investment, and we make it accessible. We work with you. We have payment plan options. We want to make sure that finances are not the thing getting in the way of you doing this work. This is a really, really good offer that we have this month, by the way. This is like our going away. We're calling it the Secure December Farewell Sale. And this is a very good offer, one of the best that we've ever done. And this is it. This is your last opportunity. So do not wait. Go apply. Use the link in the show notes. And I just want to encourage you, what if you decide 2026 gets to be different? You know, this is a new chapter. This is the year I prioritize my healing. This is the year that I finally step into my securely attached, emotionally regulated, highest and best self, where everything is possible. If you were to show me my life now, even like in 2020, let's just say when the pandemic hit, when I was packing up my car in San Diego and terrified to even touch. I remember I was driving from San Diego to Montana, and I was like at the gas station, terrified to touch the gas pump. So I'd use like a Clorox wipe and just, you know, fill up my gas with the Clorox wipe. And I had so much uncertainty in my life at that time. I just launched the podcast February 2020, single, and I was really hoping that I'd be able to just help as many people as possible. If you were to show that version of me my life now, she would be in disbelief. You know, I get to travel around and go on people's podcasts, and I get to coach incredible clients from all around the world. Helped over 1,000 people go through a signature program. And most importantly, I have an incredible husband who I've built a loving, secure, fun, passionate relationship with, and it's rock solid. And that version of me would have been shocked, you know. But this is what can happen. I just want you to realize, like, Nothing changes until you change. But once you do put in that work and you become a different version of you, everything's possible. Everything can change. So what if 2026 is that year for you? What if it's the year that everything changes? Just want to encourage you, don't wait. Go. If you have been following for a really long time, I just want to say thank you. So happy that you're here. I love this community. I love hearing from you. If you want to send me a message, go ahead. I love hearing from you all. The best way to reach out is just shoot me a DM on Instagram at Dr. Morgan Coaching. That is how I like to connect with you all. We've got some big things coming in 2026 for the show, and I can't wait to announce them. I can't announce them yet, but it's going to be a really fun year. And as always, I do this show for you. I hope this is helpful to you on your journey. I'm cheering you on. And of course, as always, I'm wishing you high self-worth and great relationships. I'll talk to you soon.